And I'm here now with Phyllis Pritcher. Phyllis is a candidate for a county judge here in Broward on August 30th, and you're in Group 2 on the ballot, Phyllis, and welcome to you.
Thank you. Yes, I am in Group 2.
You know, I was looking at your background, and it says that you've been practicing law for 25 years. It doesn't seem that long, does it?
It does not seem that long.
Yeah.
I can't believe that it has been 25 years. It just seemed after law school, I clerked for a firm, Blackwell Walker, and then I taught paralegal school, and I started my own firm with another lawyer, and have maintained it. And here it is. There's 25 years.
Unbelievable. Well, you're a graduate of University of Miami.
Yes, I am, undergrad.
Yeah, and you're a St. Thomas School of Law graduate. Were you there when former Attorney General Bob Butterworth was the dean?
I was not.
Yeah.
No, he was not our dean.
Okay. And then you've been, are you currently a law instructor?
Now I am not. I taught at paralegal school when I first got out of law school. I taught paralegal school for a year, and that was really fun because I got to teach every subject.
Wow.
And they just threw you all the books, and I went from courtroom to courtroom. So it was great because it reinforced everything that I had learned in law school.
Yeah.
And the students were just wonderful. They were so anxious to learn, and the law was interesting to them as it is to a lot of people.
And at that time, you were a young lawyer yourself?
Right, and I had just passed the bar, and I was a young lawyer, and it was, I liked it. So.
Oh, terrific. Why do you want to become a county court judge at this time, Phyllis?
It just seemed like a natural progression in that after practicing all these years, that the most good, I guess you could say, that I could do was to do it from the bench.
Good.
Having said that, I felt like being a criminal defense attorney, that some of the best work I did was when I helped some of the youth that were arrested for juvenile crimes, and I really would kind of give them the fear of God, like a good talking to, and try so much to tell them, it's not a game, and you're a juvenile, and let's end it here, And but I saw a lot of things. There's a lot of great judges, and they're mostly great judges, but I saw some that maybe had just been on the bench a while, or for whatever reason, I felt could be a little more fair. Let me talk about myself and not other people. I want to be a judge because I feel that I can be fair. Having been down in the trenches, been a trial lawyer, seen what the other side has, and also having done civil cases, being the plaintiff, having the burden of carrying a case, and then seeing what that's like, that I think it's important for a judge not to rush to judgment. And I think sometimes with the pressure of the dockets and moving the cases or the court along, it's just human nature to try to rush through that. And what I'm finding out on the campaign trail is people are saying to me, when I say, what do you want in a judge? They say, when I went to the courthouse for jury duty, or when I went for my case, the judge wouldn't look at me. I felt it was rushed. It's not fair. So I want to try to make people feel that at least they're being heard. I'm giving them a chance to be heard. So I want to be fair, compassionate, and yet you have to be efficient, because the whole system will come to a standstill if everybody gets to have a half hour, and they get a half hour, and there's thousands. So I understand the constraints. I certainly do, having, practiced in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, and knowing, the judges that started way back in Dade County with me and up in Broward now. So I really would just like to think that I could learn. I want to be the best representation of the judicial system that someone sees when they come to the courthouse.
Good.
Because I may be the only representation, the only time that they come, and I want them to feel that someone cared, someone listened, someone was passionate.
Sure. Now, as a prospective judge, what do you consider your greatest strengths?
My greatest strengths are that I'm very disciplined. When something needs to get done, I almost don't rest until it's done. So I think as a judge, it's omnipotent to be prepared. And it certainly was as a trial attorney. That doesn't mean as a young lawyer I didn't come and do a case on the fly and, luck out. But I think as a judge, it's important when you sit down and you have people, whether it's a bench trial or a jury trial, that you read the file before you come into the courtroom and you know what the arguments are. So when they start arguing, you don't have to start reading the file while they're speaking.
Good.
Because that's multitasking, and you're making really important decisions. I mean, these are affecting people's lives, and I've seen some, like anybody who's been in the judicial system, we've seen some really bad decisions and some, life isn't fair, I guess. So,
that's true, too.
So the courthouse isn't a perfect place, but the system works, and I
Good.
want it to work, and I want to be part of what makes it work.
Excellent. Who were your role models and what effect have they had on your life?
Well, one of the first judges that I really got close to was federal judge Tom Scott. I was lucky enough to get an apprenticeship or an internship, really, with him in my third year of law school. And that was really intimidating because he had all the DEA and the FBI cases, and I hadn't really even been in a courtroom before.
Okay.
And to see him, sit way up there, and then he would take us in his chambers with his clerk who would help him, decide the cases or write the opinions. And I would see what he would consider or what he would listen to. And so he was stern, but bright, but fair, and very judicious, and just really somebody that to this day I really think of. He took his job seriously, and yet he made decisions.
Good. Now, do you have time to volunteer for any professional or community groups around town?
What I've recently been involved in pro bono was the pastors that were feeding the homeless, Arnold Abbott and Dwayne Black. I don't know if you heard about it. They were feeding the homeless in downtown Fort Lauderdale. And so I came in contact with Pastor Dwayne Black, and he said that he got arrested for feeding the homeless. I didn't quite understand how that could be, but it appears there is an ordinance not to feed the homeless. So
Out on the streets, that is, I
well,
guess.
not where there's businesses,
Right,
but they were doing it in Stratahan Park, and then they moved it to the beach. And so he had two things at that time Pastor was facing: criminal charges and the civil. So the criminal was easier to resolve, and the civil is still pending because Judge Lynch said the ordinance, wasn't fair, and the way that it was too restrictive. In other words, it said you have to feed the homeless, you need to get a permit, and the food has to be a certain amount of degrees, things like that.
All right.
So that's still up on appeal.
Now, time, unfortunately, is going very quickly for us. We only
Okay.
give each candidate 9 minutes. So I want you to look into that camera, if you would, Phyllis. Tell the voters why they should vote for you for the county judge on August 30th, and that's group number 2. Go right ahead, please.
I believe that the voters should vote for me because I have 25 years of trial experience, courtroom experience. I have met people at some of the worst times in their life, whether if they've been charged with a crime and had to interact with the criminal justice system. And no matter how that turned out, I have never been disciplined by the Florida bar because no matter what happened, I've made sure that they felt that I did everything that I could, and we either had a great result or we had a result that they were happy with. I'm a Supreme Court certified circuit civil mediator, tongue twister, and that has given me a lot of experience in the civil side versus the criminal and the varying degrees. And so I feel that I could handle either a criminal courtroom or a circuit courtroom just by the fact that my office literally has been the courthouse and trying cases. And I've really been, in the trenches, so to speak. So
Okay.
I really think that I could run a courtroom and a docket and really listen to people and be fair, and I pledge that I will be.
Well, thank you very much. We've been speaking to Phyllis Pritcher. She's a candidate for the county court judgeship here in Broward County, and it's group number 2. And as we always say, remember now, election date is Tuesday, August 30th. And thank you very much, Phyllis.
Okay, thank you very much.
Glad to have you with us.
Nice to be here.